Hello everyone. Here's our answers for Chapter 7 problems homework that you completed. So let's jump in with problem number 41. Original cost of this asset was 65. We had some depreciation. Our new adjusted basis 47,751. We sold it for 45,000. That's going to give us a loss of 2751 because it was only held from November to August. It is not a full year, and so it is an ordinary loss because it's held less than 1 year. 43, 22,018 plus 4 is the two capital gains short term. There's a long-term capital loss. There's not going to be any carryover because the only thing that would carry over is a capital loss if you were not able to use it. And we're going to use all of this 10,000 to offset the 22. And so we're going to have a $12,000 short-term capital gain, which is the same, or taxed the same, as ordinary income. So it is not subject to the lower tax rates. 44, we have three different independent situations having to do with Jacob. So first of all, he's got 60,000 of income, investment income, 190,000 of modified adjusted gross income, so there's no surtax because he's not over 200,000. Second scenario, same investment income, but this time the modified adjusted gross income is over the threshold by 50,000, and so we pay the surtax on the lesser of the amount over the threshold or the investment income. And then finally for C, investment income this time is up to 100,000, modified adjusted gross income up to 300,000. So both the amount of the investment income and the amount over the threshold is the same. So either one you want to use, multiply by 3.8% to get your surtax or additional taxes. All right, moving down our spreadsheet, we have another asset that was originally purchased for 420,000. We've taken 227,600, leaving us with 192,400. Now this is a building, okay, and we sell it for 500,000. The gain is 307,600, which is the difference between the proceeds and the adjusted basis. The unrecaptured Section 1250 gain is the amount of the accumulated depreciation. If this were not a building, if this were Section 1245 property or non-real estate, then this would be the amount that you would have as ordinary recapture and would be taxed at ordinary income. This is unrecaptured 1250 gain, which is taxed at a maximum rate of 25%. It's just higher than the max rate for regular capital gains, but is still not as high as regular income. 80,000, then the remainder of this gain is Section 1231. This part would be a capital gain with a maximum rate of 20%. 51. We're looking at some carryovers. We take our loss and we offset it with the gain, so we end up with a short-term loss of 1760. We add the two for the long-term carryover in the current year, 3673. We can only deduct 3,000. The remaining amount between these two added together plus the minus the amount that's deductible, the rest of it would be carried over to future years. And again, that's for as long as you need to, actually even up to death in terms of carrying forward those losses. $3,000 a year for as long as it takes. 52, the idea of identifying which we are going to sell. So if you use FIFO, which is the default, then your proceeds were 8,000. Your FIFO cost, you would sell all of the first ones $4,225, and $600 at the 4775, and that would give us a gain of 910 if we use a FIFO. And again, if we did not do anything, that's what the default is. If you specifically identify it, you really have two sales, if you will. You have the proceeds from the sale of 750 and the proceeds from the sale of 850. You get your cost from $4.77.5 on October for this one, and for the December at $5.50. You compare the proceeds to the specific costs, and you get a long-term capital gain because this is more than a year. This one is a short-term capital loss because it was less than 1 year. 54, we inherited property at the value of $40,000 at the date of death. That is the ordinary, this default, you might say, basis to the inheritor, the one that's inheriting the property, unless the estate elects a alternative valuation date. And then it would be this value 6 months later, or $35,000. So if you were to use the $40,000, you would have a $7,500 long-term gain. If you use the $35,000, you would use the $12,500. You would have a $12,500 gain. 55, the situation, we have two situations with Clara. She has $35,000 property at the date of gift. It was in the first gift, she gets the basis from her aunt, sorry. And so her gain would be what she sold it for, the $43,000 minus the 35. If she were in the 37% tax bracket, she would pay the maximum capital gains rate of 20%. If she was in the 24, she would pay the next one down 15%. If instead of the $35,000, the fair market value at the date of the gift is 30, which is lower than her Aunt Sonia's basis, then we're going to have a little different scenario. If we sold it for 43, we actually end up with the same scenario. $35,000 basis, we sell it at a gain, we have the difference between 43 and 35. But if we sell it at 33, that's in between 30 and 35, in between the donor's basis, what they paid for it, and the fair market value at the time of the gift. Anything in between those two, one of those is what's called the loss basis, the other is the gain basis. If you sell it in between those two numbers, then it is no gain or loss. If you sell it below the loss basis or the fair market value at the date of the gift, it's $2,000 loss, $28,000 compared to $30,000. Remember, this situation too only comes into play if the fair market value of the gift, at the date of the gift, is lower than what the giver paid for it. So, moral of the story in real life is that as long as they've asked you, if they ask you as a professional, you say, don't sell property that is, don't give away as a gift property that has a fair market value below what you paid for it. Sell it, recognize the loss, and Sonia should sell it, recognize the loss on the property, and then give the cash to their Clara. So that's what you would advise as a professional planning this, assuming they ask before they do it, which of course is a big assumption. So there's your answers. You make any corrections you needed and resubmit to the Dropbox.